Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Eleonora Salas, Director of Studies at ICANA Binational Center in Córdoba, Argentina. Thank you for joining us today. You can start saying where you are from in the chat. Thank you for participating in the 9th webinar of Teaching Capacity Building 2022, a professional development program sponsored by the US Embassy that we started hosting in 2020 in response to the challenges we faced at the beginning of the pandemic. If you have attended the previous webinars, you already know that this program consists of 15 webinars presented by committed and hardworking Argentine English teachers that are alumni of US-sponsored professional development exchange programs. They are all sharing their experience and best practices as educators and language teachers in their quest to create environments that support engagement for learning. We believe that no matter where we are in our learning journeys as teachers, we can always learn something from the journey of others. So we hope that these presentations will inspire you to bring in new perspectives into your current teaching practice and challenge you to try something outside of your comfort zones and help you create exciting learning experiences for your students. Our deepest thanks to the US Embassy, the Regional English Language Officer, all the alumni presenters, and the Argentine Network of Binational Centers for their unconditional support in the organization and delivery of this program. During the presentation, you are welcome to pose your questions and comments in the chat section for the presenter to address. Also in the chat section, you will find the link to download your attendance certificate and also links to the presentation and resources that the presenter will share. It's a pleasure and an honor to have Gonzalo Diaz with us again today, presenting great challenges for great teachers, fostering engagement in class, part B. If you were here last week, he presented part A, and today he will continue sharing all his ideas and resources, his expertise. As you may know, Gonzalo is from Tucumán. He graduated from Universidad Nacional de Tucumán. He has worked in public schools, teacher training colleges. He has his own private language studio, hands-on English studio. He has been involved in different global projects, SOS for Lab project by I Love Dyslexia, Global Connect by Happy World Foundation, excuse me, and the School of Tomorrow by What If Curiosity-Based Learning. With his motto, teachers never stop learning, he has participated in a lot of professional development opportunities, many of them by the US Department of State. Among those, he highlights having been chosen for the Advanced Certificate in English program from Oregon University, specializing in language assessment, thanks to the US Embassy in Argentina. This opportunity offered him a wider and deeper view on ELT and bolstered his reflection on what the 21st century demands from educators. Keeping himself proactive, he is sharing his learning as part of his own growth as a teacher. Thank you again, Gonzalo. Thank you all for joining today from all over the world, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Eleonora. Thanks a lot. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to have you back here if you've been participating in this webinar, in the part A of this webinar. Otherwise, it's great to have you here for the first time even. First of all, I would like to thank Rita Aldorino, who's there in the chat room. Thanks a lot for being here for all of us. It's a great teacher and part of this teaching capacity building program too. Okay, so I'm going to start and share my screen and share this this presentation that probably on the chat room you will have the link to download this presentation as a PDF, and it's a little surprise by the end of it for you. I hope that it's a surprise for you. Okay. Well, as Eleonora introduced this webinar, it's called Great Challenges for Great Teachers, and it's part B. Okay, and we're talking about fostering motivation and engagement in the classroom. Okay. So what are we going to talk about? First of all, okay, we're going to talk again why we are delivering this topic, okay, and the different parts that we're going to take into a deeper look this part B: project-based learning, games and gamification, and formative assessment, and a little bit about reflections and future plans with a question mark, okay, as something that we should consider for the future, okay. So these are not my ideas in the sense that I didn't originate them. I learned them in a course that is offered by Open, this online professional English network that is administrated by the Department of State of the U.S. Embassy. The name of this spring 2022 course is Fostering Student Motivation and Engagement. Okay, so from there I took the title of these webinars. And well, I wanted to share with you that one of the things that we got to know once we were accepted, it says there, oh, you've been accepted, and we were really happy about participating into this course, okay, because I was looking for something different, okay, not only talking about technology or not only talking about certain topics that probably they're sounding like, okay, we're talking about technology all the time or about hybrid learning. I wanted something different that would be useful for any context, okay, whether it's online, it is face-to-face or hybrid. So I chose this fostering student motivation and engagement because, well, we need to do that in any context that we have. So once we were accepted, we got to learn that we were invited and we were supposed to, apart from doing all the tasks that we had to do during those 8 weeks of this course, we had to cascade our knowledge, our new knowledge. And you say, okay, what is cascading? Well, this idea that you have like a huge reservoir water and it suddenly starts falling down in large quantities. Well, that may happen with water, with music, okay, and also with education trends, okay, and some sort of a double learning because I had to learn them for myself and then I had to share them. Okay, share what I learned with other teachers. So it's like I had, as I say, what you teach, you learn it twice. Okay, it's not, you don't only learn it once to yourself, but you also learn new ways to share that with other people. And so I invited different teachers, and a group of 20 teachers from different parts of the world, many from Argentina, accepted the invitation. So every week I shared activities that I curated regarding each topic of this 8-week course. So it's been an amazing experience because some of them offer feedback on the activities. Some of them said, okay, I have used them in the classroom and I found them useful this way and that way. And I had to adapt it in some other way. So it was an amazing experience. So thanks to that, we were also invited to share in any other way that we could find possible. So once I got to know about the teaching capacity building program for 2022, I was finishing the course. So by the end of the course, I was able to offer Leonora and the whole team of this teaching capacity building program these webinars, okay? So when we talk about motivation, we are talking about desire, willingness, and enthusiasm that energizes goal-directed behavior, okay? So it's something that it might be inside the person, or it may come from outside, but it also moves the person's actions, okay, and behavior towards a goal. So that's really important, okay, when we're talking about motivation and engagement. It's attention, optimism, even passion that students show in the classroom, okay? The last webinar we said, I said that students might have great grades, and that's beautiful, and we all want that. But we also want students to feel happy, contented, and able to share in the classroom, okay, and able to share what they have brought from their home into the classroom, what they're learning, okay, so all those positive aspects, they all come together to create what engagement is about, okay, attention, optimism, and passion even, okay. So now we're going to talk about project learning, okay, project-based learning. What is important to think of this at this moment? Okay, here we have some awesome words like before, like in the previous webinar. Okay, project. Well, first of all, sometimes we talk about project, we think of group work or we think of collaborative work. Okay, so that's part of it. Okay, but it's not all. Okay, or sometimes we think, oh, it's a project. Okay, let's work on writing a routine, and we say, okay, that's a project. It's not exactly that, because as it says here, it must be an extended task. Okay, students work together to solve an authentic problem. Okay, so there must be some sort of problematic situation in what we offer our students. Okay, or produce a complex and meaningful product. Okay, so maybe to some students, just sharing a routine is not that meaningful. Or if you, okay, now you're in Mars and you have to share your routine in Mars, probably to some of them it's not even, well, it's not even important, okay? So in order to get a project working inside a classroom, we need a problem to tackle, okay? Some sort of problematic situation that students need to tackle, and they will do it thanks to the project, okay? They will tackle and they will try to find a solution thanks to this problem that they have in front of their eyes. So if they feel engaged to that, they will find some sort of solution, they will offer a solution, okay? One or more solutions even. And what about student-centered instruction? Okay, it's been a long time that this, okay, there was a moment in which students were like surrounding the teacher, and the teacher was like the center of the classroom and was on the center stage, and from the teacher all the knowledge will be spread all over the classroom to the students who were like blank slates, who had nothing to do and nothing to share, and they were just eager to learn from this great source of knowledge that teachers are. Well, now we know that it's not like that anymore. Okay, students bring in their own knowledge into the classroom. Sometimes they don't know about some topics even more than we do as educators. So in this style of teaching, okay, we focus on the student, okay, and it's not just transferring knowledge, okay, but the students learn much better when they are engaged in a process of discovery. So they bring in some knowledge from their houses, from their homes, from their families, from their heritage, from the things that they watch on TV, the things that they browse on the internet. Okay, you know, sometimes we may ask a question and they might have an answer in just a couple of seconds. Okay, it's not like they don't even have to go to the encyclopedia, they already have that on your cell phone. So it's like, okay, so it's a whole different paradigm. Okay, so this is student-centered instruction, and we all need to focus on that in order to foster this motivation and engagement into the classroom. Okay, because it's inviting them to the process of discovery, to discover that they know something, or they might know new things about that thing that they know about. Okay, so it's I'm reading here. Thank you, Cam. He says it's the best way to involve your students into the classroom, and it makes a lot of sense. Oh, thanks. A sense of belonging in the classroom. Okay, thanks a lot, Cam. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about it later, but he already gave us a great cue there. Okay. Sorry. There. When we're talking about projects, okay, well, we had lots and lots of projects. Okay, there is no good or bad projects. All projects can be adopted to the classrooms, but they need to be adapted generally. Okay, so we can adopt different projects, but we need to adapt them. So let's take into account some criteria that we should follow when we consider, okay, incorporating project-based learning into the classroom. Okay. First of all, it is important that we clearly describe the project and we state the outcome. Okay. It is important that students need to know
Gonzalo, you are frozen. We can't hear you. Yes, well, give us a minute, okay? You can continue, working in the chat or until we fix the problem. Probably Gonzalo is restarting his computer. Give us a minute to see what's going on. But I see that there is a very interesting discussion in the chat. How many of you have worked with project-based learning? Gonzalo is texting me that he is restarting his computer, so we can be patient. A lot of people joining us from Eastern Europe, from the Middle East. Thank you so much. I don't know what time it is in your hometowns, and all the people from Argentina. Paraná, Santiago, Buenos Aires, Salta, Tucumán. Turkey, also, it's in Spain. Mm-hmm. Well, here it's afternoon. Mm-hmm.
Hi,
well,
I'm back.
Yes.
So sorry. So
we
sorry.
Were,
Hope it doesn't
yes.
happen again.
We were
Okay,
just greeting each other in the chat.
Okay.
So good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just a second. I'm opening the slides. Remember that you can download. I hope that it's been shared the slides for this presentation, so you can download them if you want to.
Yes.
Okay. There it is. I can see.
It's already 10 p.m. in Iran.
Oh my! I see. Well, so glad to have this teacher with us. It's such a great honor.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about project-based learning, and I was talking about some criteria that we need to follow when we consider incorporating project-based learning into our classroom. Okay. We should describe the project, okay? We need students to know what they're going to work on and the way they're going to work on that too, okay? And we need to state the outcome, which is really important because sometimes students might feel that they can do whatever they feel like coming up at the end of the project. And that's not the idea, because there must be a language outcome that we expect from this project, okay? It should be authentic and meaningful in the sense that their context matters. So it should be involved somehow. It should be important to them. Otherwise, students will just try to, follow the steps and come up with anything that is not valuable or important or authentic or meaningful to them. So it is great when students have a voice at the moment of talking about and deciding on what they are going to work on during this project, okay? It is important to articulate steps and timeline, okay, so everybody knows when they are each part of the project needs to be presented by this day or by that date, okay, when is the due day of the whole project, okay, and which steps they need to follow, okay. For instance, if they need to do some brainstorming at the beginning, or if they need to interview somebody at the beginning in order to get a deeper view of the topic of the problem, okay. So all the steps need to be articulated. Okay, so we have a brainstorming session first, then we go to establish the problem that we want to work on, and then we know the outcome, what it needs to be at the end, but so how we're going to get there. Okay, so teachers may offer them a plan, okay, like a template following what steps they need to take in to get to reach the goal. Okay. It is important to allow students input and choice. Okay. Sometimes they might feel like more artistic or more they like write. They feel like a painting would be a greater outcome. Well, all that should be considered. Okay, in the whole process of the project. Okay, but the teacher might offer them. Okay, they should take the input from the students. I should offer them some choice. Okay, aligning this the whole project within standards, course outcomes, and goals. Okay, it's not like, okay, we just do a project because it's fun, because some people like doing projects and some don't. No, it's not only like that. Okay, we should consider which are our course outcomes. Okay, by the end of this term, okay, what do we want the whole course to be getting at? Okay, which is our goal there? Okay, so where do we want to arrive with this project to? Okay, aligning that within what is expected from this course. Okay, because if sometimes we think, okay, it's a great idea, it's a lovely project, okay, it's lovely, but probably it doesn't align with the standards or the goals of this course. Okay, so we need to adopt a project, and sometimes we need to adapt that project, okay, for our students. Okay, we need to explicitly scaffold and assess 21st century skills, and this is paramount, this is vital. Okay, because students sometimes they feel like, okay, what if I'm in a group in this project and I am the only one working? Okay, and then I don't know, we all get the same grade. Well, that's why it is important to explicitly scaffold and assess 21st century skills such as collaboration, okay, creativity, okay, and that's why having a template, it's important. So for instance, okay, for this project, we have these different roles. Okay, who's going to take up this role for this time of the project? Okay, so you are, I don't know, the designer, you are the interviewer, you are the writer. Okay, so now we know what each one is supposed to do. Okay, and even there might be an instance in which students may give points to the rest of their classmates. Okay, in which they say, okay, I believe that the writer got this number, okay, or this other participant got this score. Okay, so everyone can participate, and even sometimes the roles can be interchangeable. Okay, but we need to explicitly scaffold that. Okay, we need to offer students tools that can help them know that their assessment is not only just a matter of, okay, I love the outcome, that's it. No, we need to value the process. Okay, so 21st century skills, we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about communication, we're talking about critical thinking. Okay, so all those aspects should be considered, okay, within the project. So a project can be an enriching experience, not only for the students, but also for the teacher. Okay, and it also calls up to think of different ways to assess for learning. Okay, so there should be, we'll talk about that later, but there should be some instances in which feedback is really important. Okay, it's not only that the students start the project and they present the outcome just in a couple of months. There should be other processes, action during, okay, the time when this project is being developed. Okay, regarding assessment for learning, we will talk later about that too. Okay. So all these criteria are important in order to have something that is meaningful to the students, okay? Because it might be beautiful to me and it might be meaningful to me, but if they don't share that, they won't be engaged. They will just do it because you tell them so, okay? So we need them to be involved in the whole process of designing the project and also of developing the project. And then obviously the outcome belongs to them. Well, I wanted to share something else that happened here in Tucumán. Okay, this was sixth International Congress of Education here in Tucumán, and as I shared in the previous webinar, we had Keishia Thorpe from the U.S. and we had Jim Alarbi from Ghana and Africa. Well, we also had the visit of Akash Patel he's from India, but he lives in the United States and he runs the Happy World Foundation, where he offers this program called this project called Global Connect. Okay, there you have the link. If you download the PDF, you will be able to click on the link there and get to know more about the Global Connect project, where we try to engage students into meaningful conversations and interactions with students from different parts of the world, okay, in different languages, okay? Sometimes you will, well, we had the opportunity to help, for instance, students from Tucumán, from the mountains here, up here in Tucumán, okay, connect with the students from the US who were learning Spanish. So these students taught them some Spanish to these kids in the US. So imagine how they felt after that, okay? So they could learn whatever they wanted after that, because they felt so good about themselves, okay, after teaching Spanish to students from other parts of the world. And the same, we brought some native English speaker to connect with them in order for them to practice Spanish, okay? And first they had to do what it's called mystery hangout, okay? So they try to guess where this person is from, okay? Where that person is, sorry, okay? And so that whole process of let's brainstorm questions, let's write them down, let's correct how we are going to say this, the way we're going to read these questions, and all that process is part of the project, okay? And finally, they had the outcome of the interview of this mystery hangout, where they get to guess, and they get to guess from their questions, and they use maps, and well, they use the internet if it's available, in order to guess where this speaker is from. And there you have Akash used some of the pictures that from the meetings that I participated in, where we talk, for instance, about SDGs, and where I also talk about Argentine culture with students from different parts of the world. Okay, so it's an amazing project. It's an amazing experience for students. They feel so pumped up. They feel like everything is, they feel that, first of all, that they own the world, okay? It's not that they are just learning English for the sake of a grade and a report card, but they know that they can use it, okay? They know that they can use it. So it has a linguistic purpose, okay? So it's, well, all the experiences have been superb, okay? Nobody complained about them. They all felt so engaged into this. So it's all been thanks to Akash and his twin brother who passed away a couple of years ago. That's why he was Happy Patel, and that's why the name of the foundation is Happy World Foundation. Okay, and well, Akash was also very happy of being here in Tucumán after he's been working with some schools for like 3 years online. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Well, going to a different topic, okay, we're moving into game and gamification in the classroom. It's important to consider the affective filter, okay? Everything that is affective is related to emotions, feelings, and moods, okay? There are affective factors at work, okay, and they can be positive or they can be negative for learning, okay? So have we ever considered that into our classrooms? I'm sure that we have done so. I'm sure that we are not cold, or that we are not detached from what our students are going through. Okay, but it's important to consider what they're going through in order to, why not take up games into the classroom? Before I move on, I've seen that some people are sharing some ideas on the chat room. Well, games, well, it's a form of play, okay? So we have, they involve rules, and usually we have some sort of sense of competition, okay? Which is really something that students find really motivating, not only young students, but also adult students. So students of all ages love games, okay? And gamification is the use of game elements in non-game contexts, okay? So it's like we consider, okay, aspects of games into our regular class, okay? So it's not only putting a game into practice, but it includes other aspects, okay? All right, sorry. So what do we need to consider when we include games and gamification in the classroom, okay? Well, first of all, it's not that, well, we can choose any game in the classroom, because not any game, okay, is useful for a language learner, okay? So we need to think of choosing games with purpose, okay, with a linguistic purpose, okay? We need to help students find it valuable, so that if they share with a team, or that if they work individually, or if they play individually, it is valuable for them, okay? That they can use the target language, all right, in this process, in this game, okay? There are lots of games, and probably we have many which are non-linguistic, but probably they're not the best, okay, for our class. So we need to be sharp in this, okay? We need to go deep and say, okay, how can we use this game in my classroom, okay? What language skills they're practicing, okay? And it is important that we explain the language rationale, okay? We need to tell them, okay, please pay attention, because with this game, we're going to practice or review the vocabulary we learned from last week's class, okay? Oh, everybody, let's play this game because it's going to help us with our listening skills, okay? So we need to focus on listening, okay? So we invite them, and we get them to know that it's not only getting just a winner or a loser or whatever, but it's also practicing what is important, okay? Because sometimes we need students, well, we all learn by repetition, okay? But it's not the same repeating a phrase 1,000 times that playing a game with that phrase involved, okay? So for instance, I love using I Spy. I Spy, that the game, I love it. I use it all the time with my students, with my young students, and with my adult students. I have some great books that I got, and also I use some images from the internet, which says, okay, I spy with my little eye something that starts with letter M, you say, okay, and so students start to look for that into the image and say, okay, mountain, okay, for instance, say yes, no, okay, so I say, oh, think of the words we learned last week, okay, so they review that and say, oh, okay, so this could be it, okay, or something with color, I spy with my little eye something that is red, okay, so they look for that, and they have a lot of fun with that. It is great sometimes to stop when they're having a lot of fun. No. What I mean is that whenever they're engaged, which is lovely, okay, sometimes, they ask to do it one more time and one more time. If we do it like 4 or 5 times, it's like, okay, let's see if they're engaged or they're trying just to not to waste some time. So let's see if we have done it 2 times, 3 times. Okay, that's great. We can use it some other class. Okay, it's a great way to just to get some steam off. Okay, so students feel more relaxed. Their affective filter gets lower, and we get to revise and to learn. As I say, even something as repetition, we should be so monotonous, becomes so meaningful in that context. Okay. So we need to make sure that games are fun. That may sound like something obvious, but sometimes we make it so hard, so difficult for students to understand what our games are about, okay? Because it's like we have a 10-minute game that needs like a 15-minute explanation, okay? So we need to have simple, familiar rules, okay? As much familiar, the more comfortable students they will feel, okay? And they need to be engaged and supporting for all of the students. If any students feels like humiliated or like they are not comfortable with what they are supposed to do in this game, we shouldn't use that game, okay? Because all the students should feel comfortable, engaged, and they should feel supported, okay? So we need to be careful with that, okay? And we can make up groups and considering language and also considering their behavior in the classroom, okay? Their behavior in the classroom. So who are going to match up with, okay? With whom? So we need to consider the language level that each one has, each one of the students, okay, in case we have mixed ability groups, for instance, and their behavior, okay? How they're going to take that of being together and working together, okay? And why not? We should consider technology too. Okay, nowadays we have lots of online games. Okay, and we should consider like 2 categories there. Okay, we have language learning games. Okay, which are specifically designed for language learners, and also there are games which are played using the target language. Okay, both possibilities are great. Okay, the first one, we know that the activities are graded, that the activities are they follow some sort of standards. Okay, so we know that this activity will be good for our A2 level students, or this will be great for the B1, and this would be really awesome for the A1 level students. Okay, but when we have games played using the target language, okay, sometimes students might feel demotivated because language might be too hard for them to understand. Okay, or sometimes they might just concentrate on playing the game and they forget about the language and they start using their L1, their mother tongue. So it's important that we get them engaged into using the target language as much as possible. I can tell you from my personal experience from one of my sons, I've been so amazed at this. He has only 2 or 3 periods a week of classes, and but whenever he's in an online game of this second category, he uses English all the time. And I say, okay, so where did he acquire that language? Well, it seems that he acquired that from playing online games. So we shouldn't consider that as an enemy, but we should consider it into our class, okay, into the things that students can do in the classroom or at home. Okay, so you know that many lovely gaming platforms have educational context and educational purposes, okay, such as Microsoft, sorry, such as not Fortnite, sorry, I was going to mention Fortnite, but not exactly that one. Well, Roblox and some other offer educational modes, okay? So what about gamification? Well, in this case, we should, oops, sorry. Well, when we talk about our students, the students that we have nowadays in the classrooms, well, they say that they have a short attention span. It seems that a certain group of students need more immediate feedback and even recognition for their achievements, okay? So that's how some pedagogues came into this idea of using gamification into the classroom, okay? Why don't we include points, progress bars, and leaderboards into our classroom, okay? I know we have been doing that for years and years, okay? Probably we have been pioneers into considering that into the classroom, okay? But it is important that we nowadays, somehow we bring that into our classroom purpose, with a purpose, okay? It's not like, okay, I like having just a board on my classroom where they can say, okay, which students did well today. No, it's part of the process. Okay, it's not only something that we add like some sort of trimming into the classroom, but it's also fundamental for some students. Okay, they need to feel recognized. Okay, so we need to set a long-term goal and then divide it into steps so they get to know which steps they have to follow in order to win that game. Okay, into the classroom. Okay. They need to know how progress is assessed during the whole process. Okay, so they need rubrics. They need to consider how they can improve in the classroom. Okay, probably we can use badges. Okay, like, okay, you got to the second step, the third step, okay, until you get to the fourth step. Okay, different badges for each step of the process. But it's important to foster this culture of quest. Okay, this culture of discovery. Okay, it's not only that students are just learning what the book brings in, but how do they discover what the book offers them? Okay, how do they discover what the teacher offers them in the classroom? How do they discover what they can learn at home? Okay, how do they discover the language? How do they discover the rules of the language? How do they discover the use of language? Okay, invited them. Okay, why don't we go into the world of diphthongs? I don't know, something like that. Or why don't we go into the world of homophones and homomorphs? Okay, which is so much fun because they sound the same but they have different meanings, or they look the same but they have different meanings in different contexts. Each time I work with that with my students, they have a lot of fun and we discover the meaning. Okay, probably with images and some few words, and then they will move on into something more descriptive and with a greater mastery of the language. Okay, but this idea of discovering with the students is not only, okay, here you have your list of verbs, just learn them by heart, but why don't we try to match them? Okay, why don't we match the base form of the verbs with the past form? Probably you will find that there are certain differences. Okay, but why don't we try to do just out of intuition? Okay, just apply your intuition, apply your knowledge of the words. Okay, and try to find out a rule there. So that's how we can foster, okay, quest culture into the classroom. Well, trying to reach an aspect which is really important is this. We have different kinds of assessment within the classroom. Okay, summative assessment, we would talk about generally at the end of a unit of a term. Okay, let's see how much the student learned or mastered the content that they were offered. But we should also have formative assessment, a way to monitor what students are learning. Okay, so they can improve their process. Okay, and learner feedback as information that students can use to improve their performance. Okay, that is vital nowadays. Okay, we know that it's not only us who can assess what's going on into the classroom. Okay, it's not only teachers, but we also can have peer assessment or a student's self-assessment too. Okay, so in all of the cases, the students should have feedback during the process of coming up with a product, okay, with a production, okay, whether it's an oral text, whether it's an oral presentation, whether it's a written text, okay, or any product we expect our students to come up with at the end of a project or a unit. Okay, so they receive, well, what can we do as teachers? Okay, we receive draft versions of their products, and we may offer them rubrics so they get to know, okay, so what is it expected for me as a student to achieve by the end of this? What am I expected to bring the teacher in order to say, okay, this is a good piece of work? Okay, so in that instances, we have rubrics that show us what is important in this product, in this production. Okay, and we have feedback from the teacher, helping them, showing them ways to improve that. Okay, peers can do that very much in similar way. Okay, as Cancan was saying before. Okay, they can answer questionnaires, so they can have comment sheets and offer feedback on what our students are doing. Okay, from peer to peer. Okay, but this must be doable. Okay, so it all depends on the level of maturity and the level of mastery of the language of our students. Okay, because they need to know that they are helping their classmate. Okay, it's not judging them, it's helping them, it's offering help, it's supporting them, it's offering positive comments, okay, and suggestions to improve. It's not like saying, oh, your text is horrible, I don't like it. No, we need to scaffold this moment so peers can offer them, okay, so your vocabulary can be improved this way, the way you're expressing yourself can be improved this other way. Okay, offer something that is doable for the student, and that fosters also a sense of belonging to the classroom. Okay, and so students can also self-assess themselves. Okay, so this is really something that we should always take some time off in order to help our students go through this metacognition moment. It is the moment when they think about their learning process. They need to think about their strengths and also about the gaps of knowledge or of processes that they might have so they can improve. It's like offering them a time and valuing their time in the class and say, okay, so you can learn, and you can also learn about your own learning, okay, and you can improve your own learning. Okay, so we can do that by means of exit tickets. When we have one question, if somebody answers that, okay, you may leave. Checklists, so students can check all the items in a list and see if they have completed all of the parts of their project. Okay, or key questions such as, what have you learned? How have you learned? Okay, how can you improve your process? Okay, and then this is really important. The formative assessment is connected to these core aspects of motivation, to competence, because the students can recognize, thanks to formative assessment, they can recognize their strength, they can have clear suggestions on how to improve, okay, and they can get to know how they can meet expectations. Okay, autonomy is fostered because agency is off. Students are fostering also agency in making positive changes, okay, positive decisions in order to improve their knowledge and the way they learn, okay? They can fulfill their potential, okay? They know they can do it in a different way, than much better way, okay? They can demonstrate their best performance. It's not only that they can, okay, I have done this today, that's me, and I cannot improve it. No, you can have a better version of your text. You can do it much better in the next oral presentation. So let's get to your best performance.
You froze again, Gonzalo. Let's give Gonzalo a minute to see if he has to restart his computer again. He's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Okay. He is trying to connect again. Thank you for all your comments in the chat. I see that most of you are really acquainted with project-based learning, and yes, I see Rita. Yes, this is also part of technology. Sometimes it doesn't work. I wonder how many of you are teaching fully online. How many of you are already teaching in person? Perhaps you could share that in the chat. Here in Argentina, all schools are in person already since the beginning of the year. Our academic year begins in March. We are fully in person. And a lot of teachers teach on remotely because they love this new opportunity of teaching remotely. Thank you, Gonzalo. You're back. Can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you.
So sorry. Just a second, and we'll get to we'll get to the last section of the of the presentation.
Don't worry, we were just posting in the chat how many of us are teaching online, how many of us are teaching in person.
Well, that's important. That's important because nowadays we need to know our specific contexts. Okay, just a second. Okay. Go. Okay, we'll just wait a couple of seconds. Okay. Well, I was talking about formative assessment and how that helps working on competence. Students might feel more competent, okay, thanks to formative assessment. They might feel more autonomous because they can make decisions, okay? And we were going to talk about relatedness, okay? So how it is important for them, how do they feel connected to formative assessment, thanks to formative assessment. And in this case, what is important is that students have the chance to have instances, as we said before, of peer assessment. And that's building community, okay? That is the way we can build community, okay? And also the way that they can share wisdom and also insight on how they are working on what they're working on, okay? And also it's also giving them voice and recognition to their contribution, because it's not only the teacher who has something to say about a topic, but also they can work and help each other in order to improve their presentations, okay? So the last aspect of this webinar is considering reflection and metacognition. Okay, one of the things that I felt most attracted to when I started doing these professional development sessions by the Department of the State of the US is that we also had instances of reflection. Okay, it was not only that they gave us content to learn of, or to learn about, but we are also invited to think of our own practices and how we could improve them, or what was our which were our weaknesses and our strengths, for instance, or which was our teaching philosophy. That question just blew my mind when I first heard about it. So it is important that we reflect, we think about ourselves and our own work, okay, about our past experiences and our plans for the future. And metacognition is this possibility of thinking about thinking, okay? How do we think? How do we learn, okay? And our cognitive processes. So that's paramount, because we need to, okay, every time we have the chance for a professional development session, okay, so how can this moment of reflection can help me foster, support my students' learning, motivation, and engagement, okay? So how can reflection, my own reflection, support our teaching practices and my own professional development? Okay, so how is that important? It's vital because, first of all, I am the one maker of my own path. Okay, so it's like it's not like I'm going to ask somebody else. Okay, so please do this for me. Reflect on myself. No, I had to do it because it's our greatest powers. Okay, and so we can take a new direction into our own paths of learning and professional development if we feel that it's important for us to do so. Okay, as Eleonora was sharing the other day when she was talking about Serena Williams, okay, and it's all over the news nowadays, okay, so she's thinking about evolving, okay, taking different steps into her career. So so it seems that it's not just stop working something, but or in the case of Serena, just leaving the court, but it's also about considering different position in life. Okay, so which will be our next step? Okay, as future plans, how will I apply the concepts that I've taken from this course, from this webinar, to my own teaching context? Okay, if we don't have that moment of thinking, it's just okay, I just share a little bit with some other people, but if we take a few moments to think of that, it will be much well worthy. Okay, how can I continue to learn and grow professionally after this course is over? Well, I'm sure we have more webinars ahead of us in the Teaching Capacity Building Program, but it's also that it's a good question so we can decide on what courses we take up or webinars we participate in. So what helps in the classroom? Developing metacognitive practices where students explicit instruction on how to learn. Students need to learn how to learn. It might sound like a play on words, but it's not. Okay, so we need to take pre-assessment. So let's see where we are standing when we start on a new group. Okay, which is the muddiest point, which is those points which are confusing and difficult for our students, and which are our strategy reflections. Okay, so what is our going to be? How are we going to go from this level to that next level, and which are going to be our strategy to do that? Okay, so the questions would be: what are we learning? How are we learning? What can I do to improve my learning? Okay, that's what Tanner offers us as some key ideas when we're talking about metacognition and reflection. Okay, so again, we know you can do it. Okay, take this message home. We know that you can do it. And here, if you have downloaded, first of all, thanks to the U.S. Embassy here in Argentina, to ICANA, and to the whole Teaching Capacity Building Program. And here I said double thanks because if you downloaded the presentation and you click on that double thanks, well, it's a little gift for you. There you click on that and you can download the portfolio I curated of activities during the fostering motivation and engagement in the classroom course. Okay, so there you have like it's been 8 weeks. Each week I curated from 5 to 10 activities offered by colleagues from all over the world. You will love the power of projects. There I couldn't take anything out. I just decided to include all the projects that my colleagues shared because they were so beautiful and so motivating. And they were all so contextualized that they could be adopted and adapted to different contexts. And you have practices, for instance, regarding differentiated instruction, okay, which is a topic that sometimes we need to pay a lot more of attention to. Well, so there you have my email, my handles on social networks. So thank you a lot, everybody. Thank you a lot for being here.
Thank you so much, Gonzalo. I'm just asking everyone to be patient because we are having some issues to, post the link for the certificate again, and the links to your PDFs and presentations. Give us a few seconds. Our technician is restarting. Okay. I wanted to thank you so much for all these, everything you've shared, because as you said, you curated a lot of materials, put them together, based on what you learned in this great course that you took, and based on all the courses that you have taken so far. And this is what we do, as teachers all the time. We are,
Mhm.
all of you are, joining us today because you are interested in the topics, because you want to see what teachers are doing all over the world, okay, to foster student motivation and engagement. And as you said, Gonzalo, it's the way, when we can get students to feel really motivated, then engagement comes, and then ownership of learning ensues, which is, the ultimate goal. Because just as we own our own, uh, learning path as teachers, we need to get our students, to own their learning journeys. And as you said, choosing,
Mhm.
creating their own path. Um, Thank you again, because you are really doing this cascading.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I have really enjoyed, as I said before, during those 8 weeks, I had the chance to share with this group of 20 20 teachers and a couple of teacher trainee. And so we had a chance to share and well, so how could I find different ways to cascade this knowledge? Well, one was this webinar, another one was just Facebook group, different ways, okay, different ways, which I appreciate all of them. And I really want to thank, apart from, well, obviously the U.S. Embassy, but from all that huge and amazing team, where we have Noristerda as our fairy godmother who made this all of this possible. So I would like to thank her and Giselle, who had been, well, last week we had a great visit of Mary Shaw, and 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, and then she went to Cordoba too. And and well, so I want to thank the U.S. Embassy because they're doing great efforts to help teachers all over Argentina. And this visit by Mary Shaw, an amazing tutor and teacher trainer, gave us such great material and insight into what relational leadership is about. And well, so some people are asking about the certificate.
yes, yes,
I believe that that's taking a little bit of time because as I
yes,
had some technical issues, well, the people who were in
yes.
charge of the computer, they also had other
We are
technical
also
issues.
having
Similar.
a technical
Yeah,
issue. Yes,
yeah.
I'm
So,
getting this
so
message. But
yeah.
okay, since what we are going to do is send the certificate to your emails, okay?
Ah,
Because it looks like we cannot fix the problem.
all
So
right. Okay.
our panelists cannot reconnect.
All right. Okay.
So please bear with us. Yes, it's something, that sometimes happens.
Yeah, and
So
it has happened a
we
couple
need,
of times during this webinar too.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, it looks like, it was not a perfect day, but it was,
yeah.
what you shared was perfect. So
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a
we
lot
are going
for that.
to send you the certificate through email because you registered for the webinar. And I also want to remind you, invite you to join us, not next week, because we are not going to have our webinar next week. There was a problem with one of the presenters. So we are getting together again on Tuesday, August the 30th. Okay. And we are having Alba Rioja, who already presented. She will be sharing with us enhancing visual literacy through the magic of picture books. So those teachers who love using picture books, please do not miss that one. You will see our postings announcing the seminar, the webinar, and in September too, we will continue with these webinars for all September. So thank you very much. And if you could not get the link to the certificate and the link to Gonzalo's presentation, we will send them by email. Sorry for the inconvenience. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And there was somebody from Ukraine. So our hearts go to you. I think it's Oksana, thank you. And we pray for all Ukraine. Thank you very much, Oksana, for taking the time to be here. I guess this will be something to lift your spirit. And Gonzalo, well, we hope to continue with you in the future, presenting and sharing with all of us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Again, my apologies for the problem we have with the links, but you will get them through email. So we'll see you soon. Remember, not next week, but August 30th. Okay, so bye-bye and enjoy the rest of the day, or have a good night, those of you who are in Asia. So see you soon.